Hello YouTube! It is March 2021 and today we're in Brussels. I wanted to show you how charming the city is, but the weather is so bad today that you'll have to use your imagination. I also can't show you how old the city is. Brussels was once the most important city in the Duchy of Burgundy. Unfortunately, there isn't much of that medieval city left. The French army bombarded the city center in the 17th century. The Palace of the Dukes burned down in the 18th century. And some local politicians butchered much of what was left in the 20th century. But the biggest transformation to the town happened in the 19th century when Brussels lost its river, and with it, much of its old town. Brussels literally translates to house on the swamp, and for centuries the city struggled to control the Seine, the river that meandered through its center. By the 19th century, the Seine had become an open sewer, running through a poor and densely populated neighborhood. A sewer that flooded in the winter and dried to a stinky brook in the summer. The city had to take action, but instead of cleaning up the Seine, they decided to make the river into a proper sewer. The river bedding got straightened out and covered. The working neighborhood along its banks got demolished and replaced with nice straight boulevards and Belle Epoque buildings. So, did covering up the Seine solve the flooding? Not entirely. As you may have guessed from this staircase going underground to where the Seine is supposed to flow. Covering the river only moved the flooding to the suburbs, so in the 20th century, Brussels diverted its river again to a bigger and longer tunnel. The once new but now old river bedding got repurposed as a subway line, which is excellent news because this tram will bring us to the one place in Brussels where we can still visit the Seine. Ironically, in the Brussels Sewer Museum. This museum is not nearly as popular as it should be. Sewers are way more interesting than you and I imagine. And where most sewer museums would call it a day after they let you walk through a real, no longer used sewer, the highlight of this museum is a 100-meter stroll along the banks of the Seine. Sure, 150 years later, the river still smells, and when we were here, most of the water in the Seine was flowing through the second non-accessible tunnel. But still, for the last 2 centuries, the vast majority of people living in Brussels have never seen its historic river. If you fancy visiting an underground river in the capital of Europe, the Sewer Museum is only a 10-minute walk away from Brussels South Railway Station. You can also take a tram.